We would like now to go to Germany with E.KERN. E.KERN, are you here? Do you hear me or not?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah, yes, very good. Okay, but we can see you. Ah, yes, we see you now. We are now in the LUNEBURG University. We will continue with E.KERN from Germany, and she will speak about also a label for software, a green software. So she will explain why it is interesting for us and for professionals. So it's up to you, Eva.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. My speak will be in English, and so the German version of a software label. So we are also talking about labeling green software product, or for example, sustainable software product in Germany. And we do have a project in this area, and we are just working on it. So what I present is work in progress. So we are still on it, and we are happy to get new ideas and also new findings. So our idea why we are talking about sustainable software products and especially labeling sustainable software is that we find there are a lot of labels, especially online, for green web pages, and we just collected them to get an overview. And of course, these are not all the ones that exist online, but here you can see, for example, the provider is offering labels, and also some projects offering offsetting possibilities, and also the energy suppliers are offering like labels for green websites. And here we see the problem that there is
has left the conference.
No standardized label for sustainable software products. So we think that it's important to have a standardized label for the software products, because if you want to buy a software and you don't actually know which one of the labels exist and also which one is existing for which kind of products, the environmental agency in Germany also wants to create a standardized product label for software products, and that's what we are working on at the moment. Here you can see, for example, the Energy Star and also the Blue Angel, called Blauer Engel in German. And the problem is that there are some labels for the hardware products, but so far we don't have any of them for the software. And
has joined the conference.
I wanted to find out where are actually the problems, what we do have to create or find out if we want to have such kind of label. And in our view, it's important to have a definition where we can lay it on, because we want to know what we are actually talking about, and we want to make sure that everyone is talking about the same. So the first aspect that is relevant in our point of view is the definition.
Has left the conference.
Criteria. That means, how can I find out which one of the products is actually sustainable or green and which one is not green? But there are also other aspects. For example, the form of representation. Maybe a label is not the best solution to inform about green products, or especially green software products in this field. Here we want to find out also which one of the labels, or how could the label look like. For example, I will go on details further later. But on the other side, there are also the persons who have to be formed, and on the one hand we see the target groups. That means those who
has joined the conference.
Interested in a product label, and on the other side they are stakeholders that so they have to deal with the label and also have to support all the creating phases. So what we did first is that we had a look for the definition, because as I said, it's important that we know what we are talking about. And he found, especially in the research, that research community, that's dealing with the topic of sustainable software, we found a lot of definitions, and luckily they have two main points in common. For one of the point is that everyone who's dealing with the topic
Has left the conference.
For the environment and also resources. That means all the definitions point out that it is important to deal with environmental friendly products. And on the other side, we also found that all of the products that are called green or sustainable want to support the sustainable development. That means especially social aspects and also economics and also the environmental part. And here we found that the different definitions we found have different priorities. That means one of them is especially focusing the social part and the other one is focusing on the environmental part. But at least we found common basis that we can lay on. So the next step is to find criteria, and also here we had a look into the research community and wanted to see what's going on there. And here we could find a lot of publications that introduce a lot of criteria or at least approaches for those. And we found that we have to find a common basis that we are talking about. And here we found especially the three ones that are orange now, like the efficiency, the feasibility, and the
Has joined the conference.
In this area, because the efficiency is always coming along with sustainability in software products. And here we see, for example, the energy efficiency, but also research efficiency and hardware efficiency, because the software is implemented on the hardware, for example. And for the feasibility, we differ between the well-being feasibility. That means especially the social parts, like that also blind persons are, for example, able to use the product, but also the environmental feasibility. That means also the energy consumption, for example. And for the last point, like the durability, we see that it is important with many aspects that the software product is also that we are using, that the software product is usable for more than 1 or 2 years, because it's not the sense of sustainability that you have like new products and also have to buy new hardware products. So this is not sustainable in our point of view. So this is the criteria part. As you can see, here we also have to find like define criteria that we can also publish to make clear what kind of product is sustainable or not. And on the other side, as I said, there are also the persons, like target groups on the one hand, that are the developers who might want to produce these sustainable software products for on the one hand, but also the administrators who are responsible for the maintenance of such kind of products, and the end users who are at least using these products and on the one side. But there are also target groups that might not be directly be in using this kind of products or dealing with it. It's like the ecological activists that are in general interested in the environmental friendliness. So they are also interested in a product label for this kind of software. And on the other side, as I said, we also have these stakeholders, those who are important for the implementation process. Like at the moment, we are in finding criteria for such projects and also for the products that will be created. And for example, in our case, we also need the support of the governor, for example, because we found that it's easier to bring it forward if you have like rules how software should look like. Or for example, we do have the environmental agency, and it's just a bigger community that you can reach. So it's also important to include those who are not directly in the field of software or software products. So the last point, as I said, is that we also have to deal with the question how
has left the conference.
And here we did like a research and found out mainly 5 versions how we could create this label. And apart from this, as I said, we can also discuss which kind of medium is, for example, possible for informing the end users how they should use software, just to give a small example. But here you can see the different versions of the representation. On the one hand, we see the quality classes. That means there's a label, but you can also differ, like if a software product is environmental friendly in general, or if it is more than that, more than the other ones. And we also have labels like the Blue Angel who give a statement. Here you can see the example that it says this product has this kind of label because it's protecting the humans and also the environmental part of sustainability. And we do have neutral label. That means, for example, the Energy Star, who is just a label, so to say. It's just pointed out that it is an environmental friendly product, but does not inform about details. And on the other side, there are labels with numbers. Here is, for example, the footprint that informs about the CO2 emissions, and on the other side, it's the energy consumption that informs how much energy is actually consumed by the product. So as you can see, these aspects are just an impression what you have to deal with if you want to create such a label. And for us, we came up that it's before you start to create this label in the research project, you have to define like a general setup. You have to find out which part of the sustainability you want to focus on at least for the first time. Like we said, we want to focus on the environmental part, but also keep in mind the social part. But if we start, we can find like a starting point on the environmental friendliness of the product, just to have a starting point, so to say. And on the other side, we also found that there are existing approaches, and as you could see, like on the former speech, there are many different ideas how to create a product label on green and sustainable software products. And here we find that, of course, the solutions are different, but we find common bases that we can also combine, because you don't have to create a new one from scratch. You just can also have a look what is there and how can we improve it, how can we update it, how can we combine it. And that's important for us, because if there's always a new label and the user is actually not finding out which one is the best one, or at least which one deals with what kind of labels or criteria, it's just hard to understand it. And for us, we say that it's like the first step is to find or to create a product label that is simple and bold. We mean that it's just pointing out that it is a topic in the research field of software, or at least also in the practical part, that you have to deal with environmental impacts. And on the long-term result, we want to find out a detailed label, like, for example, the numbers on, and therefore we also have to find measurement methods, for example. So we want to go on, of course, also to keep on discussing problems. Like when I talked about it on a conference, we found out that, of course, there is a problem how to compare actually software products to each other, because all of them are quite different. And for our field, it's also a research project, and we didn't have a proof on the practical part, so this is also a step we want to go. And on the other side, we just don't want to have just the label. We also want to have checklists for those who are creating software products, for example, but also for those who are using them, and also for those who are awarding them. Like, they also have to have a guideline. So yes, and these labels or these criteria found so far, they also have to be proved and have to check against like ISO norms or things like that. And on the other side, we also have to find a certification body. If it is not the environmental agency, there has to be like an awarding point also for this site. So this is what we are doing at the moment. That means thank you for your time and attention, and if you have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you very much. Is there some question in Angers, Nantes, or Paris? In English, of course.
Yeah, please.
No questions here? Paris?
Is it an international project, or do you focus to start only in
So far,
Germany?
no. So far, it's just a German project, but because we want to find a solution for Germany, and then we want to go on and also become international.
And Eva, do you think it will be a good idea to merge the two initiatives between France and Germany in the future? We talk about
I would like it.
label in France, the GreenCode label, and we talk about a label in Germany. Is it a good idea to merge these initiatives?
Yeah, I think it would be really interesting, because if you can find like also the European label for environmental products, there is also a European label, and I would like to have also a software product label that is international, at least for Europe, and then we can go on. And so it's quite interesting also for us to keep in contact with you and talk to each other.
Is expected to propose this label in Germany? When?
What? Want to publish it next year, probably. So in the end of next year. But we also have to discuss with the agency, and yeah, it's a long process in Germany.
And perhaps the last question, what are the partners behind around this project? Is it just academic partners, or there are professional partners?
At the moment, it's just research partners like university and an institute, but it's also a research institute and the environmental agency. And so far, we don't have companies in our field. But we want to have like a workshop. We want to also discuss with the practical part, like for the companies, because we are just on the research side.
Thank you, Eva.
Thanks.
Okay, I have just I have the same question than I asked to Nicolas Panot. This question is, it is for you. How would digital professionals take care about this kind of label?
The international what? I didn't get it.
How would the digital professional take care about your label, in your opinion?
For us, the focus is on the end users. Like, we want to keep this topic into a bigger audience. Like in Germany, this topic is just for the research part, and we want to also inform the users, but also the agencies, like the environmental agencies, and also the ones who are creating the software products. So we want to make a starting point to get all the stakeholders.
Okay, thank you. There is a question in Nantes, maybe, no? In Angers, they are shy, I don't know why, but okay. Thank you, Eva. We will continue with Simon Dupont de Nantes.